Hello, welcome to Astrology with Jo, and thank you for joining me here. Today's astrology podcast video is about the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. So we're kicking off eclipse season with this very fateful lunation. It occurs on Monday, the 8th of September at 8 past 4 in the morning Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's occurring at 15 degrees, 22 minutes of Pisces. So have a look in your birth chart to see which house this falls in for you and what planets and points it will be activating. So basically, an eclipse is just a supercharged lunation. All the usual energies that we have at a full moon will be heightened and highly charged with more gravity and significance because the moon will be eclipsed. This is because it's an actual physical phenomenon and it's energetically affecting the Earth, and also because the eclipses incorporate the nodes of fate, so the North Node and South Node, which add layers of destiny, fate, choices. The lunar eclipse is also known as a blood moon or red moon because of the nature of the rays of light that reach the moon, which give it a reddish glow. This is also adding to the feeling that something of great importance is really unfolding because red is the color of blood, the color of passion. It is getting our attention in an even more stronger way than a regular full moon does. So the full moon is the midpoint, apex, climax of the lunar cycle, and the moon's entire Earth-facing side is reflecting the beams of the opposing sun, which shows that full globe of light that we know. But at an eclipse, the shadow of the Earth, which is passing between the sun and moon, the shadow passes across the face of the moon, which casts it into a temporary shadow and makes her glow that striking red. So, of course, we still have that regular full moon energy at play with the sun, which is the yang, your ego consciousness, shining its light onto the moon, which is your yin, your emotional unconscious world. So the sun is spirit, beaming its light onto your moon, which is your soul consciousness. It's an illumination, a revelation, a culmination, a fruition, all of those full moon words. And your yin, those facets and spheres of life for you, is what is also being illuminated at this time. So your emotions, inner private life and needs, your sense of home, safety, well-being, belonging, your vulnerability, your raw instinctive nature, your unconscious. This is that window to those liminal realms within your ancient forgotten memories and your soul knowing. We now have a curveball thrown at all of these things because the Earth gets in the way. Literally, it passes between the sun and moon, and it's the shadow of the Earth, which is what causes the eclipse of the moon. So there is a shadowy uprising then, which comes with this heightened sense of the unconscious world we have at the full moon, this elevation of the senses, this intensification of energy, the surfacing emotions, this release and or expression, this opening window which shows you this liminal unconscious soul knowing. All of this is now incorporating some darker places, some unexpected things. There's a vast element of the unknown at the lunar eclipse, at eclipses in general, especially with Pisces here, which is all about the void, liminality, cosmos, detachment, the psyche, detachment from worldly things, that is. And eclipses are a disruption to the natural order, the natural progression, which is tying in really nicely with our following lunation being a blue moon, if you will, if you want to call it that, which reverses the whole lunar cycle. I'm going to talk about that in my next lunation video when that comes up. But because the full moon isn't quote unquote supposed to be dark, this is a disruption, interruption, the sudden lights off on something in your life, which has to do with the shadow realms of your life that are potentially surfacing and which require release because it is that full moon still. And it's also a very heightened time of spiritual, energetic frequency openings and elevations through this significant doorway that the eclipse offers, and especially because it is occurring in that highly spiritual sign of Pisces. Now, here in Pisces, this sense of mystery and the unknown, it is made very potent, as well as the symbology of endings and releasings, because Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, the culmination, the return to the waters of source, so to speak. So with the North Node conjunct this eclipse within 3 degrees, the impetus is towards the journey of karma, evolution, destiny, whatever you prefer. So this is a culmination and release, a washing away of the detritus and psychic baggage. And because of that North Node, this is all geared towards your growth, your true path, your next mission, whatever that means for you. So this is an ending of contracts, of significant periods of life through this release and renewal process. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to cleanse, detox, shed whatever load you've been wanting to drop, whatever you've been needing to end, because remember, the South Node is opposing this moon in a conjunction to the sun, which remember is the luminary which casts its light on the whole situation, the whole full moon situation. So it's a vital component here. People tend to forget the sun during lunation. So because of this strong South Node involvement, this is most definitely a letting go of certain parts of yourself, certain parts of your personal life, your personality, your mind, your ego. And ego is not an inherently bad word, by the way. Ego is very important. Without it, we would all be blithering, boundaryless non-entities with very little purpose or will. But here with the sun on the South Node casting a light onto the earth to cast a shadow over the moon, there is something about that will, that purpose, that spirit, which is kind of being blocked here or being obscured because it needs to shift, it needs to evolve to be able to progress. And it is through the draining or washing away of something tangible, because we physically have the earth involved here, something tangible, probably to do with your sense of self and what you identify with. And with the sun and the South Node in Virgo, an earth sign, especially conjunct the ruler of Virgo, which is Mercury, this is something in your daily life, your day-to-day, your work, your schedule, the minutiae. This is very personal. Every personal planet is actually involved in this lunation. I'll anatomize that for you in a second. And with the sun as our vital force, conjunct the South Node of draining and releasing, you may feel prone to tiredness or fatigue. This could very well be mental fatigue here with Mercury involved, analytical fatigue because it's Virgo. This is a good time, therefore, to rest your mind, to not take on any more lists or projects during this period for a little while, if that is something that is avoidable for you. We are under the influence of this eclipse for about 2 weeks. So until the next eclipse, which is a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, that's occurring on the 22nd of September, 2 weeks away. So this full moon is initiating a release and recuperation process that doesn't just happen overnight. It unfolds over time. It's a time then to ground and settle, to maintain your vitality and your energy, to keep you going. It's the North Node in Pisces and the moon, which are the strongest influence here at this eclipse. So the sun, the South Node, and Mercury, all conjunct there in Virgo, they're really all following instructions here from that moon and North Node. And so with potential shadows coming up, because it's an eclipse, with disruptions, delays coming through for you, the most important thing to do is to maintain your vitality and your energy, as I said, supporting your health and well-being, because that Virgo Pisces axis is not only the axis of the divine and spirituality, it's also the health axis. Something in the spheres of health and also in the spheres of work may be strongly affected here, especially if it's in opposition to your own personal urges for release, for higher purpose and meaning, for spirituality or connection to your higher inner self, to your imagination, your art, your divinity, whatever it is for you. Something in your daily life is likely to be affected by these urges in a way which can potentially be quite draining, because they can be quite conflicting. So ensuring that you do what you need to do to ground, stay healthy, to stay feeling cleansed and connected to yourself and to the earth it's the most crucial thing to do at this time, so that you can work functionally and positively with this eclipse. And this eclipse, it's giving you the perfect opportunity to go within and to release what needs releasing, to wash away what needs cleansing, all in the name of feeling more connected to your soul essence with this Pisces influence here. whatever soul essence means for you. And Mercury's involvement with the sun here, it's just indicating that the mind has the potential to go into overdrive and burnout. There must be a conscious shedding here of any over analytical, hypercritical tendencies. These are all mutable signs. So the essence of the game is change and rotation. So expect changes, stay open to the possibilities, do that wonderful Virgo thing of remaining adaptable and knowing that you have the skill, you have the ability to make things work however they land. To do that, though, there are some components of your mentality that need to change because right now your mentality and your mental programming is quite potentially draining you with that south node there. The nodal axis is directly involved and the north node is stronger. So this is really indicating that it's a time to connect to your higher path, your higher understanding, your intuition, and those inner mysterious places which connect you to that, and to allow that to be your guiding light, not your mentality, your monkey brain taking over. And this isn't always easy, and there can be big, massive shifts and changes occurring for you through this process. So have compassion for yourself, have acceptance, patience, kindness, be gentle with your sensitivities and really listen to them at this time. Well, most of the time, but especially during this Pisces lunar eclipse, it's those sensitivities, those nudges, those inner sensations which are guiding you towards what's right for you right now, guiding you towards that North Node in Pisces. This is a highly creative, highly imaginative time with that strong Pisces energy. So it's a wonderful time to channel your imagination and creativity into things which make you feel that divine spark within, which really light up your soul. And you can do this in very real ways because we have that strong inner planetary involvement, which I'm going to break down in a sec. On the flip side of that strong Pisces influence, your energy can be very porous. It can feel leaky, especially with that South Node Sun Mercury conjunction. So it's vital to be strongly aware of your energetic boundaries, which is that Virgo component, to make sure that you aren't putting yourself in situations that you know will drain you, because your energy can be a bit prone to being leached if you aren't keeping up those healthy personal boundaries. It's really interesting here. This full moon is very connected, very talkative, because if you remember at our last full moon in Aquarius, if you listen to my forecast on that, the moon was actually technically unaspected. It was very remote, very theoretical, very isolated. And I mentioned a second ago that the inner planets are all involved here. They're all touching this full moon in some way. So this makes things feel very close to home, very personal, very real, very active, which is quite different from what we've been experiencing with the astrology lately, because those outer planets, with all of those major shifts, they've been so prominent and so active that the personal planets haven't really had as much stage time. And I talk more about those outer planets in terms of the evolutionary forces at play over on my Patreon and Substack if you want to head over and have a listen. So here at this eclipse, we not only have Mercury, personal planet, conjunct the Sun, personal point, opposing the moon, which is a personal point, but we also have a sextile with Venus and Mars, which are personal planets, forming the base of a yod configuration to this full moon, which is making the full moon at the apex here and an already very apexy time. So all personal planets and points are involved and highly important here. So it's like at this time, all of those bigger picture themes, the major life shifts and occurrences that have maybe felt a bit out of grasp and too big, they're finally perhaps filtering through into your life in a more obvious way. Maybe it's all starting to feel a bit more personal to you, a bit more real because of that strong South Node involvement. This is probably going to be via the things that are becoming apparent that you need to end, that you need to cleanse in order for you to now manifest in more and more real ways how this big shift that you're moving through, whatever this is for you, can really be brought to life for you. Now, this yod is interesting, as all yods are. So the 150-degree aspect called the quincunx that forms yods, it represents an interesting relationship between the discomfort of disparity and the highly charged creative force that is generated through working with this disparity. So Venus and Mars, they share no common ground with this full moon in Pisces, which makes it feel a little bit alien, like it's feeling foreign or detached in a way which touches you very personally, if that makes sense. So the discomfort feels quite strong, very real. The thing with the quincunx is that it can be very potently generative when you're working with it. So it can literally make magic, because this is a fine attunement here to the natural, subtle nuances of a situation, which can be utilized to benefit and generate and create something which on the surface doesn't actually seem possible. So it's like when you're playing music, it's putting notes or chords together in a piece of music which actually clash individually, but when you correctly place them, you can make a very compelling piece of music which does flow, which does work, even when theoretically it maybe shouldn't. So this aspect here in this configuration has the potential to be very innovative, creative, and inventive here. Now, the cosmic lovers, Venus and Mars, they are working together here to manage this uncomfortable energy. So they're forming the base of this yod configuration in a 60-degree aspect called a sextile, which is an invitation to work relatively happily for something very beneficial in a harmonious way, something which feels good, feels productive, can even feel lucrative and abundant. So here we have the potential for magnetism and manifestation, which feels uncomfortable or incongruent with the unfolding path before you, with how you're feeling about this manifesting or about this next stage or about what you know you need to move forward. So there's a blending with Venus of the inner desires, a blending with the drives of Mars, which are quite warm and even flamboyant because Venus is in Leo. And she's actually on in the southern hemisphere. This is the Imbolc degree, which is a warming up degree, a degree of potential and growth. This is a very creative degree. It's the creative spark, wanting to express desire, feel affection, share joy, with Mars in Libra, who is ruled by this Venus, by the way. He's fueling the battle for peace, fueling the battle for peace. So there's a need to equalize these inner drives and urges, almost this need to love and reciprocate love, but in a way which produces not only joy and zest and passion, but is also maintaining a balanced scale in your life here. This is where the quincunx energy can feel a little uncomfortable. So Venus and Mars are very subjective. Even though Mars is in fair Libra, Mars itself is a very subjective force. And they are representing how you are acting Mars for your desires, Venus. This can be relationally or financially related to your abundance or even your expression of will. Now, the moon and the North Node at the apex of the yod with these two, it's elongating this passionate picture and drawing it outside of itself in a way which is asking you to incorporate these drives, these desires with your relationships, your abundance or finance, or your sense of capability and will. It's about incorporating these things, these themes, whatever this might be for you, into your life's bigger picture in a more holistic way. So incorporating your passions or whatever this is for you into your next step and unfolding path that you know is your next journey, that you know is your calling. And there's a stickiness, that quincunx incongruence. There's a stickiness here. And the eclipse is either a time to release what just isn't working for this, or it's a time to pause and fully connect in a powerful way to that inner higher knowing to guide which next steps to take. It's those subtle nuances that I mentioned before, which is why this quincunx can be a tricky thing to get a handle on. So generally, at an eclipse, this is not a providential time to begin new projects because the eclipse is that wild card factor, remember. We're still going to be moving through now what we initiated at that strong Virgo new moon back on the 23rd of August. So that was incorporating all of those outer planets, which have been helping you on your overall trajectory of choice. But if there is still any uncertainty now, don't force it. Turn inwards is what these planets, this astrology is saying. Turn inwards to decipher what needs to be dropped, what needs to be rearranged. Don't rush headlong into anything. I mean, Mars does want to do that, but luckily in Libra, he's objective enough to maybe see the most tactful way of approaching a situation. Now, with the help of Venus in Leo, which is real enthusiasm and exuberance, we can tap into that inner heart, that inner joy as a guide as well to know how to best proceed. The trick is to not don't roll the boulder uphill. The trick is to have a rest, decide whether the boulder is worth it. How much do you love that beautiful boulder? Is it a labor of love or is it just labor? This is where the Virgo discrimination can come in, and also where your works, Virgo, may be coming into question. Is this in alignment with your will, Mars? Is it in alignment with your heart's desires, Venus? In alignment with your needs, with the moon, and your higher good and higher trajectory with that North Node? Likely the answers are not going to come straight away because this is an eclipse, it's murky, it's shadowy, it's unpredictable, and also because this is Pisces. Usually with Pisces, we don't really know the exactness of what's required until we settle, calm, quiet, reinforce the energetic boundaries, reconnect to those inner wires from psyche to consciousness, from feelings to the mind, and that's what the pause, the limbo space, while it's not particularly comfortable, quincunx, that's what that pause and that limbo space can be useful for. So sometimes all you can do is wait if you don't have the answers. On the flip side, sometimes you do get that urge to do, to be, to create, to start, to go, not knowing why, not knowing how, just knowing that you have to, just following what your intuition is guiding you towards. And there is a certain amount of faith necessary to do this, and only you will know what and how to trust in these times. When in doubt, do nothing, especially during an eclipse, but always follow your intuition and your heart if you do something. We also have another aspect pattern here, the T-square, hello old friend, to Astraea in Sagittarius. So the whole point, T-squares are pointy, of this lunation is about the expansion in Sagittarius of your ideals and your sense of divine harmony with Astraea. And this is via a potentially tricky analysis of how your ideals and belief systems are feeding or detracting from your own personal justice. There may be choices here because that Mercury is on the Sun and South Node conjunction, and because Gemini is actually the missing piece of this square configuration, which is all about duality, decisions, choices. There may be some interesting choices to be made around your belief systems and around your perspectives on your situation, whatever this is for you. Astraea is pointing you towards an expanded consciousness of what it means, Sagittarius, to be aligned, what it means to be in divine harmony, even pointing you towards what your own beliefs even mean. She's working with the higher meaning of things here by squaring the eclipse, and Astraea could be showing us prejudices, dogmatic ways of viewing the world, and how now is the time to really shift this, analyze this, break it down and dissolve it. I have a feeling that collectively religions and also issues with migrants, immigration, refugees, these kind of people who are foreign people in a different land could be coming under the spotlight. I mean, just following along with what's been happening with the rallies in Melbourne recently, it's enough to really validate this particular piece of astrology. But Astraea is being ruled by Jupiter at the moment because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Jupiter is over here in Cancer, and he's trining this full moon lunar eclipse here. So Jupiter is helping with the expanded view on your emotional prejudices, our emotional needs, and also this lunar eclipse is likely to be really supporting your emotional growth. Maybe this is around maturing out of old belief systems which are outdated and no longer serve your highest good. Interestingly, as the traditional ruler of Pisces, Jupiter is therefore here in mutual reception with this full moon lunar eclipse because it is in the moon sign and the moon is in its traditional sign. So we have then even further support for growth, for expansion, for now exploring things that are beneficial for you, that support your needs, your sense of belonging and purpose. And also this massive release and washing away that we're going through at this eclipse is also being supported by the fact that growth and development is going to result because this is Jupiter, okay? The modern ruler of this full moon is Neptune. Neptune is currently retrograde in Aries, soon to tip into Pisces for the last time to clear out the last dregs of that psychic baggage and loose ends with Saturn before they both move into Aries again next year, form their conjunction, and by then it will be full steam ahead on whatever you've chosen in this period of time, this year, these choices, whatever inner higher guidance you've been following, whatever passions you're working on. Next year, February in particular, is the rocket blasting off on these dreams, which is why all of these energies are so significant now. Neptune is still in the fiery initiating sign of Aries at the time of this full moon. So the full moon is guiding you towards those personal, passionate dreams. Whilst uncomfortable, whilst potentially still uncertain, whilst that cleanse or detox or whatever this is doesn't taste very nice right now, it's like, you know it's good for you. You know inside and your soul knows what is good for you. And it is your personal choice to follow that, be guided by that, and to then lead from that. Neptune and Pisces, by the way, do also rule the weather, earth events, weather events, usually in extreme. So especially with that wild card element of the eclipse, there is likely to be some kind of or multiple instances of unusual weather, seismic events. In particular, we still have that Uranus heading towards the anaretic degree of Gemini again. Be mindful of this. Maybe your weather apps or the Bureau of Meteorology won't be predicting the weather, which is going to happen as well. There's a lot of big factors playing into this full moon lunar eclipse, but it's all coming back down to earth to manifest in very real ways in your personal life. And I'm going to go on to the tarot to break this down a little bit more. Now, since Pisces is a sign that symbolizes the wild, I'm using the animal-based Spirit Song Tarot by Pauline Cassidy, which has this very ephemeral art. It's very Pisces. Interestingly, the first card which popped out was the Knight of Wands, which is here represented by the acorns in this deck, which I think represents like the creative potential and the expansion of the creative force. Given the spiritual watery nature of the eclipse, I was a bit surprised that this fiery energetic card came out. It's a card of action, of creating, of chasing your desires. Now, this warthog in the card, I mean, to me, it looks more warthoggy than boar. I think either animal works for the symbolism here. It's a symbol of virility, of courage, fire, action, most of all, the divine yang and the divine masculine. This animal is under the sun and it has a sun depicted on its body as well. So I'm taking this to represent the fiery elements in play at this lunation, including that rather set upon sun in Virgo. So this boar or warthog is not charging. It doesn't look aggressive. I mean, if anything, Venus and Leo was just saying that it looks like it's kind of prancing a bit. I mean, look at that raised hoof. It's just trotting along very pleasantly. And I think this card, in representing the divine solar, divine yang impulse here, it's giving us the message to just really revel in your passions, dance to your desire, take and feel joy for what you do and for who you are, and move forward from that place. And I think this is also a reminder to remain connected to your vitality and your energy center, because remember that sun is conjunct the South Node there, which does indicate like a cleansing or a letting go of unhealthy parts of the ego. But it also means that we do need to do that Virgo thing of putting up those healthy boundaries as well around your energy, light, and vitality, because we can be prone to leaking energy at this time or absorbing heavy energy, which is not ours. So I got a solar card and then I asked for a card to represent the full moon. And the High Priestess came out, which is the middle card, this glorious kitty cat sitting under a moon, overseeing the blossoming of this beautiful flower. This is a lunar card, and this is a card of diving deep into the depths and integrating the wisdom found there. So this is the message to use your intuition. You may see more clearly by closing your eyes, by feeling instead of seeing and thinking, which is also a strong indicator of Mercury on the South Node there, tapping into that intuition, stepping out of your brain. This is going to be an opportunity to strongly connect to the divine, to open your inner eyes, even to open up some higher energetic abilities like your clairs. And your instincts may be very loud at this time. They may not feel comfortable because they may be coming up from depths that you never knew you had, or pointing you in directions you aren't sure you can handle. That's that quincunx to the moon coming in, those quincunxes. But the cats represents mystique, magical powers, which is not only quite Pisces, but also I think very aligned with that quincunx energy we have. Remember Venus at the base of this quincunx, ruling the other base of this quincunx, which is Mars. She's in that feline sign of Leo. Cats don't take orders. They do whatever they like, whatever whim takes them. They can't be forced. They have to be lured or coerced, which is very Venus. And I think the message here is that your intuition, it can't force you to do anything, but it informs you nonetheless. And you have to actively choose to integrate what's coming up for you. And this is what will give you your power, because that's another thing that cats represent. It's sovereignty and being self-willed. So even though this moon, it's sensitive, deep, and intuitive in Pisces, it's also leading you towards your power as well, because it's on that North Node too. And there is a duality here. I mean, we can't talk about Pisces or the High Priestess without mentioning duality. There's a dual component to the full moon, which is one of being able to integrate your own divine needs and your own evolutionary trajectory based on those needs, and being able to integrate that on a worldly plane into your reality, into functional, tangible, usable ways of being. And there's a split here because sometimes that just doesn't feel possible. These two spheres are too different, too irreconcilable. I mean, that's that quincunx coming through again. How can you possibly integrate your high frequency connection to the source of all that is when you're at work washing dirty dental instruments in a sink? I can tell you from personal experience that it's possible. We still have to life. That's where the difficulty and discomfort may lie here. But the Virgo parts of this chart indicate that it's even the littlest things that we can do in our daily life which can connect you to the divine. Even just taking 5 minutes, just 5 minutes before you go to sleep, to just close your eyes, connect into your heart, connect into your physical presence in your body, to thank yourself, thank your physical form for existing and carrying your soul through the world in this lifetime. And I mean, in just 5 minutes, you have performed a very simple, very divine act. And with the High Priestess, there is that potential to delve deeply enough into yourself to find those answers. And this cat says that you have the potential to do those things in your own way. So by acting for your peace with that Mars and Libra there on one base of the yod, and by filling your heart with your passions with Venus in Leo, by filtering that through your higher intuition and your needs, you can find this powerfully creational force whereby you can give yourself the tools, Virgo, to do, Virgo, what you need to do. And the answers of how to do this, paradoxically here, they're in your psyche, your emotions, and that inner higher knowing. Also, too, Virgo does rule domesticated animals, your furry or scaly daily best friends. So working in unison with these animals, your dog, your neighbor's cats, the animals you pass that are being walked on the footpath. If you can hear anything, that's my own cat starting to meow right now. By interacting and loving these wonderful creatures who are here on this earth, not only in their own right, but to assist humanity in being able to function on this earth by teaching us, by interacting with your doggo or a kitty cat or your pet goldfish, whatever it is. This is also a wonderful way to honor the natural world and to ground when done respectfully. I also wonder too if animal rights are going to come up around this time in some way as well. So I just pulled one more card here to represent the eclipse itself. I know I've been talking for a while. We're nearly done. Thanks for making it this far if you're still here. The Lovers came out, which is another major arcana card like the High Priestess. So these major arcana cards symbolize that these things that we're moving through, they're big life themes. The Lovers also represents duality and choice. It's a Gemini card. So I do think that the choices around this time are going to be big ones. And the name of the Lovers card in this deck has actually just been changed to Love. So short and sweet, despite the difficulties coming up here, the opportunity has arrived, or with the High Priestess kitty cat there, you can, of your own power, make the opportunity to choose love, whatever form that takes, whatever that means for you. And now these wolves on this card, wolves are highly independent, tough, enduring animals, and they also run in a pack. They also communicate, and I do believe they mate for life. They represent also the deepest instincts that we have to be both wild and free and also connected. So this is about making a choice towards your love and your highest good. I mean, Pisces is all about high love, but also to make that choice a commitment. There are huge choice points here during this eclipse and this eclipse period. And basically by centering these choices on love, on your highest good, like these beautiful wolves, you will be running wild and free and supported. So thank you so much for tuning into my reading on this full moon eclipse in Pisces. It will occur again on Monday morning, the 8th of September at 4 a.m. You can actually see the eclipse itself from about 3:30 a.m. And I believe on the eastern side of Australia, it's best viewed from around 4 a.m. if you do wish to witness it. Just FYI, some traditional, very wise, experienced astrologers advise against going outside during an eclipse for what that's worth to you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you have a good eclipse experience. Remember, this energy carries on until the next eclipse in 2 weeks on the 22nd of September. Let me know in the comments if anything I've said is resonating with you, or if you want to share your experience of the Pisces eclipse energies. And if you think anyone else will benefit from listening to my astrology forecast, please share my work with others, because my aim is to practice astrology to help as many people as possible. Remember, I do have a Patreon, Substack, and Instagram. All of my links are in my YouTube personal profile description thingy. So thank you once more so much for being here, and ciao for now.